So in a Yin Yoga practice, we would stay here for about 3 to 5 minutes. But in saying that, that's very individual, so it really depends upon the student. Some people will not be able to stay here for that long. Of course, some may be able to stay here for longer. But as soon as your student wants to come out, then I would respect that and allow them to come out of the posture. So Debbie can come out when you're ready. And a good way to balance that practice out before you move on to the next posture in your sequence is just to bend the knees and draw them up in towards the chest, keep the knees wide, and then just allow the head to fold forward. So when we look at what might be called a counter posture in sequencing, I tend to look at a posture that is, say, a step back or 2 steps back from what you've just practiced. So as opposed to practicing a back bend straight after a forward bend, where you're completely counteracting what you've just achieved or what you've just had happen in the body, we want to come back to something that is similar in terms of the shape in the body that we've created, but is less effort for the body. This way the body can relax and rest and integrate all the benefits of the practice. So you can inhale and come up. And we'll move on now to Upavistha Konasana. So in this posture, we take the legs even wider, but no wider than about 45 degrees on each side, so you end up with a 90-degree opening. There's no need to take the legs any wider. It will also create less space in the back, in the sacrum, if you take the legs too wide. So about this width is good. Deb could go a tiny little bit wider. And again, the alignment of the legs, or the effort in the legs, is very similar to the effort in Paschimottanasana. So the yang component of the pose, there's always some yang in all yin, is that muscular contraction. In this position, however, the strain on the inner thigh, so on the ligaments that run around here, around the knee, and also on the muscles, is a lot greater because of the angle of the legs. So we need to make sure that we're even more careful in this pose, depending of course on the individual, to have enough effort in the legs to protect especially the knee. So Deb may be able to, because she has been practicing for such a long time, release some of that effort in her legs, but most of your students will need to start with that amount of effort and then slowly work towards releasing it. So in terms of supporting this pose and bringing the floor up to the student, we can take some blocks. And the student can fold forward. So we want enough space for the pelvis to be able to shift, and still coming into that same idea of the flexion in the spine. So you can see that Deb might be able to release off through the ankle and the foot, and maybe slightly through here, but she's still got quite a bit of effort through the thigh. You can inhale to come up, Deb. And then of course we're just, depending on the student, taking the props down lower, so coming down again on an exhalation. And throughout the practice you can change the props. So if you're going to stay here, for example, for 5 minutes, the student might like to start with the bolster on the angle supported by the blocks and then come into this variation. And then if they want to, you can help them. So Deb, if you can come up a little by removing the bolster and then coming down towards the floor. So you don't have to stay in the one position throughout the practice.